Earlier in the show, when it was all said and done, who would be the better quarterback? Would it be Aaron Rodgers or would it be Brett Favre? And the results are in from the Twitter. Aaron Rodgers, 67%. Brett Favre, 32%. Take a look at Rodgers because he does make a case. This is what we've been able to compile. Most passing yards, touchdowns, and best touchdown to interception ratio through 100 starts. However, he and Favre do have the same exact record when it comes to wins and losses. So, Stephen A., I don't even know why I'm asking you this. The question is, did they get it right? I'm sure you already say yes. It's no big deal. I don't know why.
I mean, come on.
Now, what is the question? I want the question to be specifically asked.
The Twitter followers get it right?
What's the question?
Hold on. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, who will be the better quarterback?
First of all, Aaron Rodgers will have more Super Bowl titles once his career is over than Brett Favre.
Said and done.
That's number one. Number two, the numbers that you just showed.
Sure.
Passer rating was superior. Record was identical. Completion percentage was higher. And, oh, by the way, 50 less interceptions.
Go ahead.
104 to 54. I mean, come on now. Listen, I know I've gotten on Brett Favre many times in the past. But in all seriousness, I want to be completely honest and serious and forthcoming with this. I know that Brett Favre is a Hall of Famer. I know that this profession was lucky to have him. I know that he's one of the great quarterbacks in NFL history. I know that he's a future Hall of Famer as well. He should be. I'm very aware of all the superlatives attached to Brett Favre, and it is deserving. And the respect that he has from his contemporaries should tell you all you need to know, because people who've played the game, who've coached the game, who love the game, love Brett Favre because of what he represented. He was truly an Iron Man. My issue with Brett Favre was the last 5 years of his career where I thought he was the complete ultra prima donna. But it really wasn't about Brett Favre. It was about the fact that I felt most people couldn't get away with what he got away with.
Right.
And I just felt that he was the epitome. He was the walking embodiment of a double standard. But that may not be his fault. But in all seriousness, having said everything that I just said, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, with all seriousness, that he's not better than Aaron Rodgers, because in my opinion, no quarterback that I have watched with my two eyes is better than Aaron Rodgers. This brother is a bad man. I believe that Aaron Rodgers will go down as the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. He is Dan Marino with wheels. This dude can throw like that, but he can also run. Dan Marino was never that athletic, couldn't run that way, etc. I just look at all the, I look at everything. The only thing, and Teddy Bruschi, in your favor, Skip Bayless, he was on my radio show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, every weekday. Teddy Bruschi was on my show Friday. And Skip Bayless, for you to know, the one thing he brought out about Tom Brady, he said, look, you can talk about Aaron Rodgers all you want to, but he pointed out the leadership element, that intangible. I got that part. I got that part, because Tom Brady, to me, is just a special. I'm talking about mentally, you know, spiritually, how he goes at his job. There's something special about Tom Brady. But I'm talking about surely eye test, pure talent. In terms of all that is required of a quarterback, I have never in my life seen somebody better than Aaron Rodgers. And I truly mean that. He is a bad, bad man.
Just for the record, when did you start watching Brett Favre? Do you know early Brett Favre? Do you get back into the early 90s? You go 92, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, I watched him. He was something special. He was something special.
Do you remember his wheels early on?
Yes, he had them.
Beyond Aaron Rodgers' wheels.
He had them, but he was...
He could flat out run.
Yeah, but he was also very risque. He was a gunslinger. And what I'm saying to you is that as beautiful as he was, he took so many chances. The accuracy, he could, more times than not, he helped you. But he would hurt you from time to time in ways Aaron Rodgers never would. Okay. That's the difference there.
I'm going to ask all of our viewers who are voting for Aaron Rodgers, probably our younger viewers, to please calm down and get a grip and maybe get a little bit more of a clue about what Brett Favre accomplished through his first 100 games. Because Stephen A. Smith has been able to pollute a lot of your brains with all this diva talk about Brett Favre, which is completely, utterly off target and unfair to Brett Favre. At age 39 and 40, Okay, I'm going to get to this in just a minute. You know, it's possible. It's certainly possible that Aaron Rodgers one day, I don't know, 10, 12 years from now, will go down as a greater quarterback than Brett Favre. But Aaron Rodgers has a long, 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 long way to go to get to that position. Because even through their first 100, and you got me on the interceptions, the big glitch, the big fault in Brett Favre's game is that his coaches were never able to rein him in. He was like a spoiled brat of a young quarterback, supremely gifted, strongest arm in the game at that point with the wheels to match. And he got away with near murder when he got to Green Bay. They just let him rock and fire, and about half of them, it seemed like, went to the wrong team. But a whole lot of them went to the right team, which is why through his first 100 games, think about this, he won 3 MVPs. Brett Favre, 3 MVPs through his first 100 games. Aaron Rodgers, 1 MVP through his first 100 games. Playoff wins through his first just 100 games for Brett Favre. He was 9-4 in the postseason. Aaron Rodgers has fallen all the way to 5-4. 9-4 versus 5-4. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't know how, but he has managed to lose 3 of his last 4 playoff games, and 2 of them were at Lambeau Field. That's 3 out of 4 that he has lost, 2 of them at home. I don't think that's all-time great. I'm sorry. And both had won through 100 games, 1 Super Bowl, but Brett Favre got his team to 2 Super Bowls in his first 100 games. Now let's go to the end of Brett Favre's career when he was a diva.
Well, wait a minute. That last part about the Super Bowl, that the jury may still be out because that's in a season.
I'm just doing through 100 here.
But I'm saying, but that's through 100 games. But what I'm saying is, what if Aaron Rodgers gets Green Bay to the Super Bowl this year?
Okay, but now I'm going to.
You're going to say it's 103 games?
Well, yeah, he didn't do it through the first 100. Okay, we're matching up 100 to 100. That's what happened last night.
Okay.
Am I right?
All right.
Thank you very much.
100 games left in the regular season.
Now,
go ahead.
Do you know how many longevity records that Brett Favre still holds? Obviously, the Iron Man record of 321 straight starts. And God bless Aaron Rodgers, but last night, he took a couple of chances that I thought were a little dicey.
So did I.
Where he was saying,
so did I.
You know, I got this. I think I'll take one more lunge here and see if I can get another yard. Maybe I can get to the goal line. He got tagged a couple times, one time on the near sideline, and I don't know. Last year he got his collarbone broken. He missed 7 games last year. Can he get to age 39 and 40 when Brett Favre had 2 of his best years of his career? Remember the Jets year? He got the New York Jets to 8-3, and I thought he was the leader at that point, as did a lot of people, in the MVP race at age 39 before he ruptured his biceps tendon in his throwing arm, and it really limited the rest of his year. Next year, he comes back at Minnesota when you were all over him about, why didn't you report sooner? But he got to camp, he played a couple of exhibition games, and he took a team that a lot of people thought would finish last in that division all the way to 12-4. They crushed Dallas in their first playoff game at home when he threw 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. This is age 40 now we're talking about. 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions.
102 passer rating.
33 to 7?
I remember.
Are you kidding me?
I remember.
And then he gets down to the hardest place to play that year in the National Football League was the Superdome against those Saints.
Right.
And got his Minnesota Vikings all the way to overtime. Now, he threw an interception that ended the game. But that was also because they
took a knee and tried the 56-yard field goal.
No, well, they had a 50-yard field goal before his coach sent in 12 men out of a timeout into the huddle and knocked them back 5 yards.
Brad Childress.
And then, Brad Childress, and they had to throw it one more time, and Brett Favre tried a Brett Favre throw, crossed the field, and threw it right to whoever it was for the Saints who ran it back. Okay. That's classic Brett Favre. But he got them to overtime against the New Orleans Saints that close to the Super Bowl at age 40. Seriously, can Aaron Rodgers do that? Because if he's on that kind of pace to have years at 39 and 40, he might eclipse Brett Favre. But I don't know if he can last that long.
All I'm saying to you is this. You can make that argument all you want to. I can't dismiss it because Brett Favre played significantly more time than Aaron Rodgers has played. Brett Favre has passed for over 70,000 yards in his career. He's an Iron Man with the 300-plus consecutive starts. He's all of these things. That is undeniable. I am simply telling you that regardless of the greatness that I've seen from Brett Favre, it's not to sit there and say he wasn't great. I am telling you what I see from Aaron Rodgers. I think he can eclipse that. Now, he may not be able to eclipse it in terms of actual numbers because he may not play as long as Brett Favre may end up playing or whatever the case may be. But I'm telling you, his skill, his ability to throw the football in the pocket, on the run, read defenses, keep the mistakes to a minimum,
I get it.
etc.
Right.
I believe that Aaron Rodgers has a shot at being the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. We can't sit here and look at him based on this minimal body of work compared to the longevity of Brett Favre and say, oh, he's better than Brett Favre. I mean, because with Brett Favre, he's earned the right for any of us to sit there and say, okay, can you withstand the test of time? Because Brett Favre did this year after year after year after year after year. But I am telling you, if anybody could do it, it's Aaron Rodgers. Because Brett Favre at his best and Aaron Rodgers at his best, I would want Aaron Rodgers.
I would want Aaron Rodgers. I'm still taking Brett Favre.
Okay.
And again, I saw early Favre. I saw a guy who, I'm going back to the Sterling Sharp days in Green Bay.
Yep.
Who had, again, this
fantastic.
This is Elway Marino, or his contemporaries.
Yep.
A little stronger arm, a little better deep thrower.
Yep.
Now, the throw that Aaron made last night to clinch the game to Jordy Nelson, it was a thing of beauty.
Beauty.
It took my breath away. I said, that's pretty hard to beat. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything much better than that. Yes. But Brett Favre used to make those throws in the early days.
Here's the problem, Skip. You could watch Brett Favre play in a game and be at his best, and you sensed an interception was coming. I don't get that from Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
And that's all I'm saying.
And how do you defend 3 of his last 4 playoff games he has lost? Brett Favre through first 100, 9-4 in the playoffs versus 5-4.
I don't really count last year because of the collarbone injury that took him out for 7 games. But outside of that, that still brings in those other games that he lost. I get that. But I also think that if you remember when Brett Favre won the Super Bowl with Green Bay. You remember the defense Green Bay had? The minister of defense with Reggie White and those boys? I mean, they weren't listen, they weren't there until Reggie White got there. Yeah. Let's not negate that. I'm not saying that Brett Favre didn't deserve the accolades, but that defense with Reggie White and those boys had something to do with it, too. I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers is carrying the Green Bay Packers. Without him, they ain't a playoff team.
Yeah, they don't matter.
Yeah, listen, Brett Favre's teams, Brett Favre made a lot of magic for those teams.
Okay, I agree with that.
He did.
I agree with that.
All right, so again, the folks at home on the Twitter say that it is Rodgers, 67%, Brett Favre, 33%. When we come back, we're going to talk about one Johnny Manziel. But before we do that, let's head to the Call of Duty Green Room where we find